Hey, this is Dan Locke. I'm very excited because from time to time I will have special guests just visiting me in Vancouver, and Brandon here coming all the way from New York, man, my friend.
Oh man, it's my pleasure to be. My pleasure, man. My pleasure, man. I'm excited.
King Keto. So we have the two kings having a conversation today. And now Brandon has built a very, very successful fitness business, a 7-figure business, also came from a background with nothing, starting from scratch. And we're going to talk about that story, but today we're going to talk about how to use social media and how to build your brand on social media. Now, Brandon, I know that you now have over 760,000 subscribers on YouTube, over 140K on Instagram, 1.5 million on Facebook.
That's right.
Amazing. And you've used that to build your business versus a lot of people that just use social media just for the sake of fame. So maybe tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into the fitness industry.
Yeah, man. I'm from Chicago, the South Side, and this is a rough environment, right? And I got in a little bit of trouble. You know, my parents sent me to military school in Wisconsin. You know, and I got there on some sort of scholarship, some sort of affirmative action type scholarship, and I was the only poor kid there, and I was the only black kid there, and that came with its own set of challenges, right? And I, you know, kids would like make fun of me and stuff, and I'd get into fights. I wouldn't say they weren't like racist or anything. They were just like, kids are just jerks, you know. Kids are just me, and I'll get in fights, and I was like, man, you know, it'd be great to win these fights, you know. And so
Not getting beat up, right?
Yeah. I want to beat people up. I don't want to get beat up if I'm going to fight. So I said, man, I need to start working out. I need to start training. And I didn't really know what I was doing at first. Initially, I was just trying to figure it out, reading like magazines or you know.
Was it those like Muscle magazine?
Yeah, Muscle
like
magazine, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I'm 35, right?
Yes.
So like the internet wasn't what it is now. You couldn't just go on YouTube and find
watch a video.
Find some videos, you know, Elliot Holst didn't have no videos yet, you know. So like I had to like try to figure it out on myself. I had to read books and stuff, which is probably better than going on the internet. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
But I didn't get I had some progress, but not really. It wasn't until that summer I started training with this guy named Aaron Muhammad, who's a friend of the family. And for years, he was voted #1 trainer in Chicago. And he's actually Steve Harvey's trainer, like personal trainer now. He travels with him.
Wow.
And so he's like OG, and he definitely knew what he was doing. And he let me like work with him, like, you know, 'cause he was a friend of the family. And I made like a lot of progress that summer, you know. And then I went back to school, and I thought, man, I can't wait to knock one of these you know. And, but they didn't mess with me then.
Yeah, now you are.
Well, I didn't get that big, right? Because it was only a few months, but you know, I had some of like the new games, right? But it wasn't. It was more like the confidence.
But I don't think I think it's confidence.
Exactly.
It's because
The way you carry
now
yourself.
they think, well, better not mess with this guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like predators, man. Predators look for prey, right? And I wasn't, you know, exhibiting the characteristics of prey, right? And so instead of messing with me, these same kids are like now asking me for advice, right? And then I said, all right, I started teaching them what I learned, and I noticed I liked training people, you know, and seeing the progress they get, and more importantly, seeing how they change, like how their personalities change, like what I know.
Maybe before they have a lot of anger issues.
They had stuff going on. That's why they were such assholes, you know, because they had
working out gives them an outlet.
Yeah, it's like the guy who's writing some bullshit on this video right now. He's got a lot of fucking problems, man. What's the matter with you, bro? Happy, confident people don't behave like that. No. You know, you need to work out, get some confidence. Fucking weirdo.
Yes.
Cut it out. And I digress.
Yeah.
Well, how, you know, we all started getting better grades, right? But schooling, I don't know. I just noticed it was a bigger than, we weren't just changing their body, we were changing
their mind.
Everything, way more so. And what I think because, Dan, when it happens, fitness in particular, you have to set a series of goals, like and make these promises to yourself every day. You got to eat right. You got to get enough sleep. You have to train. Yeah, you got to do all these things. And when you make these little promises to yourself and you keep them, well, like you start to like trust yourself more. You know, believe in yourself more, right? Yeah, because imagine if you're someone, you make all these promises to yourself, like you have some goal, you want to do something, right? And you keep telling yourself, and you don't do it. Well, how much confidence do you have in yourself?
Correct.
You know, how much do you believe in yourself? Why should you? You shouldn't. You have
After a while, the
Yeah.
track record is so bad.
Yeah. But if you can get these wins every day and you set these goals, these little small goals, and you hit them, then it's like, well, now you can start setting bigger goals, and it just builds a kind of confidence that can't really be replicated or in another way, because you have to do it every day. It's all day.
It's so
kind of thing.
interesting because my story is so similar to yours because I was getting beat up when I was in high school. I was one of the only 3 Chinese in my school.
Oh, man.
Right? So I was getting beat up and bullied. So then that's how I learned took martial art lessons. The funny thing is, after I took martial art lessons, nobody beat me up anymore.
Yeah.
And I end up teaching some of the kids martial arts.
It's the same.
It's the
yo.
same shit.
Nice.
It's the same shit. It's amazing. So from there, I assume you kind of developed this passion.
Yeah.
For fitness, and then you started training people
Yeah, I went to college.
within college.
You know, and that was my job during college, and but it didn't pay a lot. Personal trainers typically don't make a lot of money.
Make a lot of money, yeah.
You know, you can't scale that business. But what was good though is that was my first sales job, because being a personal trainer at a big gym, you're more of a salesman than you are a trainer.
You work with people all the time. You talk to people.
You actually have to sell them.
Yes.
The packages, like you're the salesman, and you deliver the service.
Yes.
You know,
You're selling and you're fulfilling. At the same
yeah,
time.
you're selling and fulfilling, and it was my first sales job, and that's when I started building what you call a high income skill. Like
Right.
that's where I initially got it. This is age 17, and I realized that I kind of liked it, you know, and I started studying that real heavily.
You ever thought of you're gonna be in magazine, photo shoot, all these things, when you started?
Okay, so I wanted to be a musician, right?
Interesting.
There's some YouTube videos of me playing the guitar,
Oh,
on another channel.
that's cool.
You can find it somewhere around.
Yeah.
And if you do find it, you will be amazed at how what can this guy do?
Yeah.
You know. But I thought I was gonna be a professional musician in some capacity. And I actually got signed to Sony Records after college as a rapper. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I got dropped when they merged with BMG. So it was like, man, this thing I've been kind of working at my whole life kind of got ripped underneath me.
Yeah.
So what I go back to, I went back to my selling. You know what I'm saying? Now, at this point, Dan, I was like, I don't know if I want to do personal training. I don't make a lot of money. I'm gonna sell something lucrative, right? So that's when I started selling cocaine. No, it's not a joke.
It's not a joke.
No. And I started. This is a long time ago. You guys don't need to go looking into this. Any law enforcement?
Yeah.
Hey, way past the statute of limitations. Sorry, guys. You missed this one. But go get the guys who are doing it now. Anyway, I'm over here. So that's why I was like, man. Because I left a lot of story out. But I'm from the South Side Chicago, so I was familiar with this line of work. And I started selling cocaine, man. One of the things I did, we used to the magazines. At the same time, I got scouted by an agency
to model.
Fitness, doing fitness modeling. Some guy some real flamboyant guy came up to me in the street, and he said, "Oh, you should be a model." I'm like. And I'm like, I thought he just wanted some booty, man. But nah, he was for real, man. He sent me on a casting that day, and I got it. And it was for Vibe magazine, and it was a big deal, And I was all right, that's cool. So I was doing that a little bit, but all that money was going right back into cocaine, man. I was investing it, getting more work, right? And then, in fact, I told my agency, I said, hey. I know you guys have a sister agency in Miami. You guys should send me down there, and I'll do some work down there, right? No. I was doing that because I thought, because I knew that it was cheaper in Miami and more potent. So I said, okay, so I get that there, can bring it to New York, then I can step on it, which means dilute it and make more, right?
And then sell it.
Yeah, and then sell more. And it's like, oh man. And so I started doing that for a while, and.
This is not a joke.
I'm not joking. Yeah, I was doing that, and then and a lot of things happened, but around, I was making a lot of money, man. Making a lot of money and living the lifestyle that rappers talk about. I was actually doing it. It wasn't like the stuff that rappers talk about. My life was a rap album. All right. But then everything changed. Like when I got a call from my sister, and she said I need to call her back right away. And it's a bunch of tons of text messages. I know I call a text message, and it was like tons of text messages I missed. And I called her, and she said, "Mom, my father's missing, and he left a suicide note." And that's when.
How old were you then?
I was in my 20s, like early 20s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I couldn't believe it, right? He was like my best friend, my role model, you know, so on. And so I fly back to Chicago, and it was true, man. It really happened, you know. And that's when I feel like I needed to change.
You never saw him after that?
Nah. Oh, I mean, I could have. I went to his funeral, but I didn't want to see him like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, yeah. It was a closed casket, right? So, that's when I feel like, I needed to change my life. Cause I don't want to get into his stuff too, but he was doing some stuff that he probably shouldn't have been doing. He should have been doing as well. Like that. I had another friend around that same time. This dude named I grew up with him. His name was SV. He got sentenced to life in prison, for being a criminal. And then another friend named Esco. He was found in New Jersey. We were in the same line of work. He was found in New Jersey. He was murdered. And then I thought, man, I really need to change my life. Like you become like the people you're around. So if the people I'm around are like that, that's what's happening, and that seems to be the trajectory of my life.
Right.
So that's when I said I'm gonna stop doing all crime, and I'm gonna go 100% like focus on, something that would help people, and like something that I can really, legal, and
So it's your father.
yeah.
He's passed away. It's that incident made you realize, okay, maybe I think it's a wake-up call. Right?
It's 100%.
It's a wake-up call, and maybe in some way deep down, I'm just guessing, where if you continue on that path, that's not gonna make your dad proud, right?
Oh, it definitely wouldn't make him proud, but maybe even worse. Like I saw what it did to my mom. I was there. I was with her when the cops told her they found my body.
Right.
They found his body. And so imagine if she lose me too,
Yeah.
And but even the wake-up call is a good way to put it, because like now I have to take care of her.
Yes.
And
you cannot be that reckless person anymore.
Yeah,
right?
I was thrust in this position where I'm like the man of the house, of the family. From my sister, her, my mom's mom, who's like old, and my sister's son is like, everybody's like, I'm the guy now. And I had to provide and be able to take care of him, because no one else would at this point.
Right.
And myself right now, because I was just a reckless kid.
Right.
So that's when I had to get serious then. And so I went back to what I knew, personal training, right? But it wasn't making a lot of money. It doesn't make a ton of money, so especially not the money that I feel like I need to make, for my family.
To provide for your family.
Yeah. And even the lifestyle I wanted. Like I like things, I like comfort.
Have a good life.
And so I got 2 additional jobs. I started working for a moving company in New York. In New York, moving is different, because like not a lot of places have elevators. So all day I'm lifting stuff up and down,
Building those biceps.
hey, and then and then I on the weekends I managed, my buddies had a restaurant in Queens, and I was the manager of that restaurant, working moving companies, training people like in the hours I had.
Yeah.
And
so working kind of odd jobs here and there.
Like I was just trying to fill my fucking day with work 7 days a week, and I wanted to I knew I wanted to do something in the fitness industry, and I wanted to build the business, and I figured I had to do it online.
So you had the aspiration, yeah.
Yeah, and I knew the online was the only way to do it, and it started. I was so. All that work and then trying to build an online business at the same time, it's basically like 2 years of a struggle. And
what were you trying to do online? Like, were you trying to offer get more clients, personal training, or were you trying to sell?
Because you can't.
So
you can't scale that.
Yeah,
so like I had a program, like a workout program I was trying to sell, and then also I saved up enough money to start my supplement company.
Okay.
Yeah. So
supplement
we had
company.
one supplement, like just the Fat Burner T-Rex.
Yeah.
And it was just those two things. And I was just trying to build it up, trying to figure it out. Like I didn't know what I was doing, you know? I didn't know what I was doing. But it worked. Like, I mean, it worked like after some time, and fast forward today, now we have about 15 employees. We've been, you know, big office, a penthouse office in Manhattan.
Yes.
It's not as nice as this one.
It's nice.
But
Yours is nice. Yours is nice.
Hey, but it's nice. And no, we got like customers all around the world.
Nice.
The office right next to Central Park, you know, and you know, I got a 2 Combo Club award from ClickFunnels, you know,
Yes.
so we have a 7-figure business. Yeah, that's basically the story in a nutshell. Like it's like a wake-up call, you know.
So that's the part 1 of the interview with Brandon Carter here. Now make sure you go watch the next video. We're going to talk about exactly how Brandon uses social media to build his brand and build his business. Click the link below and make sure you also follow Brandon on social media as well, YouTube and Instagram.